Welcome to this video abstract. My name is Yotini Sritaran and I'm a PhD student at the Swiss Paraplegic Research and the University of Lucerne. And today I will walk you through our recent publication titled Altered Functional Connectivity Underpins Cognitive Changes in Chronic Spinal Cord Injury. The consequences after spinal cord injury are quite far-ranging. On the one hand, there could be reduced mobility and sensation. Individuals with spinal cord injury, short SCI, may also develop cardiovascular issues, bladder dysfunction, respiratory issues, pain, psychiatric disorders, or cognitive changes. Previous studies have shown that individuals with SCI have a 13 times higher risk of developing cognitive impairment compared to non-injured controls. Among all of the cognitive domains, the domain of the executive functions and attention are the most impaired ones in people with spinal cord injury. Cognitive impairment interferes with a successful rehabilitation and reintegration into society, as well as self-care. The reasons for developing cognitive changes after SCI are quite diverse. The most known one is traumatic brain injury. But even in the absence of traumatic brain injury, there could be cognitive changes. Other reasons could be medication side effects, pain, psychiatric disorders, sleep disturbances, and brain reorganization. Many previous studies have found structural and functional alterations in the sensory motor cortex in people with spinal cord injury. However, more recent studies also found changes in cognition-related areas. And in our study, we investigated whether these brain changes are linked to cognitive changes in people with spinal cord injury. For this, we conducted a prospective observational study and recruited 26 individuals with SCI and 26 non-injured controls. All of the participants underwent a functional magnetic resonance imaging measurement, and during the measurement they conducted a phonemic verbal fluency task. In particular, they were presented with different letters and they had to produce as many words as possible starting with that specific letter. Afterwards, the participants filled out different questionnaires on, for example, pain and anxiety, and clinical assessments were conducted. Regarding the methods, the performance in verbal fluency was compared between the two groups. And regarding the imaging data, we conducted a seed-based functional connectivity analysis using seeds from a previous meta-analysis on verbal fluency. Then we also correlated verbal fluency performance with functional connectivity measures. Our study sample was matched in terms of age and sex, and they did not differ in any of the variables except for the pain level and life satisfaction. Regarding the behavioral results, we found that people with spinal cord injury produced on average 15% less correct words compared to the group of non-injured controls. This difference was significant. With respect to the imaging data, we found that in individuals with spinal cord injury, there was a lower functional connectivity between the left insula and the left superior frontal gyrus compared to the non-injured controls. On this slide, I'm presenting you the results of the correlational analysis between functional connectivity measures and verbal fluency performance in individuals with spinal cord injury. There was a significant correlation between the sum of correct words in a verbal fluency task and the functional connectivity of different pairs of brain regions, such as the right postcentral gyrus and the right insula, and the right and left precentral gyrus and left putamen. We found altered functional connectivity between the insula and the superior frontal gyrus in people with SCI. The prefrontal cortex is involved in executive functions, and the insula also acts as a hub to switch between different brain networks, such as the central executive network, which is crucial to executive functions. We may infer from these findings that the gatekeeping function of the insula may be disrupted. The second finding which we had was the correlation between verbal fluency performance and functional connectivity of sensory motor regions in people with SEI. Sensory motor regions are usually not associated with verbal fluency. However, in our study sample, we found this relationship with verbal fluency performance and functional connectivity of sensory motor regions. From this, we may infer that disrupted sensory motor functions in SEI may interfere with cognitive functions, possibly due to phenomena of cortical reorganization. With this, I'm at the end of this video abstract. I want to thank all participants for taking part in this study, and you can check out our publication online. Thank you.